may meet. So this video is going to be so-called born-again Christians who claim to have earlier been occultists of some creed or type, who now spend their time running around and warning everybody else about the dangers of the occult. And let me start by saying, I am not saying that there aren't people who have been occultists, had bad experience with some sort of occultism, turned Christianity, and found a spiritual path that agree with them more there. Just like there are Christians who have had bad experiences with Christianity, who has converted to a pagan faith, and are more happy there. So definitely I'm not saying that all of these people are lying, I'm just saying that quite a few of the more sensationalist ones are. And here's the problem I have with these people. When your random Christian Baptist or whatever say that, oh, the occult, they sacrifice children and murder cats and push grandmothers down the stairs and so on and so forth, they don't have much, they can't claim much, they can't put much weight behind that argument because they have never been part of the occult, so they don't have the knowledge. However, when somebody then claims, no, I was not just a member of some occult group, I was a high priest, then suddenly people believe them because, oh, you were a high priest and you did sacrifice babies, you said, oh, of course that must be true then. And it seems to me that a lot of Christians eat up what these people say without stopping to consider, okay, could they possibly be lying? And like I watched a video about, there was some guy there that went on and on about his experiences as a Levian priest, and also had experiences with other parts of the occult and so on. And most of the information he gave about the occult were flat out wrong. Like, for example, he went on and on about how witches were just female and they generally did not allow men into their covens, and how occultists had a habit of grabbing a random cat and sacrificing them on tombstones, and so on and so forth. And went on and about how his life was as a Levian priest, and yeah, even I, who are not a Levian Satanist, know that most of what he said about the organization is utter bullshit. So I seriously doubt he was ever part of the occult. I mean, the little bit of information he did get right, you could have gotten right if you read one book. And there are a lot of these people who then testify about how horrible it was being an occultist, and their stories are usually exactly the same. There was some sort of disfranchised youth who grew up in a Christian family, but they rebelled against their family, and then they got into the occult in some way or another, and they found power, and they were very happy with it for a while, and then suddenly their life fell apart around them, and they were close to suicide, and then suddenly they found Jesus, and now they are born again and are fighting the occult. And here's the thing. I think it's definitely possible to end up on the wrong spiritual path. No matter what religion you choose, I think that there's quite possible to end up on a path that's wrong for you. It won't lead you anywhere, and then you can suddenly get the revelation. You can suddenly get this flash of insight that it's another religion that you should follow, and that's great when that happens. It's powerful. It's an amazing spiritual experience, and of course that could happen with people who are pagan or who are Satanists or who are any religion, just as it could happen with people who are Christian. The problem is that a lot of these people who then testify about the evils of paganism, they lie. And I had videos about how it's all matters of opinion, and this isn't really a video about that. I mean, I think there are different paradigms, so it's possible for a Christian to think that the spirits I communicate with are demons. Well, I don't think so. And it's very hard to say this is right, this is wrong, because me as a chaos, I think that what is right and what is wrong depends on personal paradigm. However, when you come in and you say blatant lies which are just there to scare people, then there is a problem, especially when you claim to have been part of this organization. And the lies are worse when you claim to be part of the organization. It's like this. Let's say I claim to have been a member of the Republican Party, and I say, no, in the Republican Party we support Ku Klux Klan. We give them money, and every now and again we hunt down a black person, we string him up, we torture him, and we kill him. That's what we do in the Republican Party. Now, if I just make that claim as a random person, say, oh, but the Republican Party do this and this and this, then it's easy to just say, but you're not a member. You're just making wild speculation. But when I'm saying, yeah, I was a member, I experienced this, then it's no longer just speculation. It's me making a direct claim that these atrocities are done by these groups. And that's a problem when the claims are lies. Now, I'm not really touching into the theological differences here. Of course, for example, a Levian Satanist will not mesh well with a Baptist Christian. They have completely different ideologies. And it's quite okay if that Christian believes that the Levian Satanist is 100% wrong and he's sinful and so on. Have at it. The problem is when they then spread lies about them. And it's the same old. Oh, but the witches, they do suicides, and paganists are all Satanists. Pagans, occultists, and also they sacrifice animals and humans. Okay, let me give you a few truths. When it comes to animal sacrifice, very, 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 very few groups ever do that. For example, Wicca, no, you don't do animal sacrifice. It's against the basic tenets of the religion. There are some reconstructionist religions that do animal sacrifice. Now, reconstructionists, those are the people who try to reawaken an old religion. So, for example, in Norway we have Åsatru, the belief in the Old Norse gods, reconstructionists, and some of those have blut. Now, a blut is a celebration, and it involves a sacrifice. Now, most Åsatru people sacrifice food, time, and so on, but there are still a few people who do animal sacrifice. However, that does not involve taking the neighbor's cat and slaughtering it on a tombstone. I know of one group, and only one group, in all my experience as a pagan, who does this, and they have one person who is an authorized butcher, so you can kill an animal with as little pain as possible, as you have to do that to be allowed to slaughter an animal. In Norway, you have to be an authorized butcher. They get an oxen, some sort of livestock. They kill that animal, they prepare a feast from that animal, and eat that animal during the celebration. It's no more nefarious than buying a hamburger. And I have never met a single occultist, a single one, who sacrificed little animals. Now, does that mean that there have never been people that do that? No, of course not. But it's not a general trend. Occultists do not do human sacrifice. Are there people that could have done that? Of course. Just as there are Christians that have killed people. Just as there but anyone has ended up killing somebody. But no, this is not a general trend among occultists. Occultists do not commit suicide at any greater rate than any other part of the population, so claiming otherwise is bullshit. Basically, all of these claims about they are just fear-mongering. And my point is that you should be very skeptical when somebody claims to be part of a group and then, without being able to prove with any proof that they've been part of that group, and then start spreading negativity about that group. Basically, if somebody, let's say, defects from Scientology, then at least I have some proof that they've been part of Scientology. And there's lots of people saying the same thing. That they were brainwashing, that they were denied contact with family, and so on. It's pretty well documented. So and they don't have a lot of reason to lie about this. However, people that comes to Baptist churches, TV, evangelists, and so on, they get gigs where they earn money. They get donations. Many of them start ministries, and so on, based around the idea that they are a reformed occultist, and they tell their story again and again and again about how horrible occultism is, and they earn a lot. It benefits them to tell this story. And then you should be wary. I'm not saying dismiss it out of hand. I will never tell you dismiss anything as out of hand. But I'm saying if somebody starts claiming, isn't this religion sacrifice babies? Instead of just gobbling it up and accepting it, read up on it yourself. Speak with actual practitioners. Do some research before you believe it. Because unfortunately, there are quite a few Christians in the world today who actually think that anyone of different religion than themselves sacrifice children. I mean, I met this guy once who said that no, everybody who weren't a Christian, note, anybody who wasn't a Baptist, because Protestants, they were Satanists, and Catholics were Satanists. Basically, anyone who wasn't Baptist were Satanists. So all Muslims, all pagans, all other Christians, all atheists, all Buddhists, everybody that weren't Baptists were Satanists. That every Satanist, which then would include 90% of the human population at least, sacrificed a child each year. And I tried to explain, I told him, how do you make that add up? I mean, if around 6 billion people sacrifice a child each year, how doesn't our population just sink as a stone, as it would be hardly any children left? But oh no, but and people that believe this, they bought into the propaganda of people like the guy just watched a video, and I can just post the video down there, a link to the video, I mean. And there are so many of these guys who claim to have been occultists, and I would say 90% of them, when you listen to what they say, if you have even an inkling of experience as an occultist, you see that they have no knowledge. And I mean, when me who have read exactly one book by Anton LaVey and talked with a few LaVeyan Satanists, know more about LaVeyan Satanism than this guy who claims to have been a high priest, then something doesn't add up. when he makes claims that are blatantly not true about witchcraft. I mean, anyone who has studied it to even a slight degree know it is bullshit. Something doesn't add up. Especially when he claims to have been a member of this community. And it's not just him, it's so many of these guys. And basically, I'm just making this video to say, please, when you hear somebody say that I was an occultist for 10 years and I was a high priest and I sacrificed babies and raped virgins and I summoned up demons and I try to take a step back and do a bit of research before you blindly accept it. I'm not saying that if your religion disapprove of witchcraft, that you should necessarily approve of witchcraft. It's not a problem for me if you say, I find it theologically problematic with witchcraft. It's against what I believe. I believe that in the Bible it says that witchcraft is a sin, so it shouldn't be practiced, and so on and so forth. It's your fate, not my business. I do have a problem when people spread lie about a whole category of faiths just to get rich and make themselves sound more interesting. So instead of just accepting something that people tell you, read up on it and find out that a lot of these people are just full of shit. So yeah, just because somebody say they have been an occultist doesn't mean it's true. Read up a bit about occultism, and if what they say don't fit whatsoever with what other occultists say, what books says, what basically the occult community say, chances are they were never a part of that community and they're just making up the story to make themselves sound more interesting or to scare people. So just use your heads. It's not called all dark glitters, and they were not all occultists, those that claim they were. And that is what I have to say. Have a great day, and blessed be.